So you should be smart to present efficiently overview of your project and how you implement what is the result. So also demonstration is required. So if you cannot demonstrate through the projector, try to demonstrate your first kind of screenshot in your presentation file. So I think that it would be better if you can prepare the 5 to 6 pages. No more than 10 pages. Okay, usually 10 pages is too long. The very short presentation file to present efficiently your work, and then demonstrate your program and output. Then everybody can see your.
Can you show the poster instead?
Can you show
The poster.
Poster, but it will be very small
Yeah.
font if your project. The poster is only for the submission process. Okay. Yes.
It will run the code in the demonstration, or
Yes, so this is also a good idea if you complete your project, so you can make the small size of data file, and then you can run on your laptop or one of the computer. Okay, so that's also possible. But in your the final submission, either the writing or the poster, 2 by 3 size of poster, the result should be based on entire data set. In terms of performance or accuracy, whatever you evaluate should be based on your entire data set. Okay, so mostly today's lecture is for future, which means the first semester I'm going to offer NoSQL database, which will cover not only the HBase but the other. I'm thinking as many as possible, but I don't think I can cover all of them. But the primary it will be start with the HBase, but I will cover a couple of more the NoSQL database. I'm thinking the MongoDB and Cassandra, but it can be changed depending on the situation. But definitely, I will mostly will discuss about the HBase to understand the NoSQL database. Also, the last part of today's lecture will talk about the data mining that I'm going to discuss in the spring semester in 2015. So that is the series of the big data system course. So this is one, and followed by the NoSQL database, and the last one is focusing on the how to analyze the data using data mining. So today's topic is the data mining package in the Hadoop system, which is called the Mahawk. I think the Mahawk is the name of
It's
elephant.
Yeah.
So before that, we need to understand what is the data mining, what is the machine learning. Okay. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to go forward to the okay. What is the data mining and what is the machine learning? What is AI? Artificial intelligence. Who we had the artificial intelligence course? Professor Wood.
Yeah.
But he will be. Right? Somebody will take over.
But also the professor saw us.
The current will teach the AI.
He teach robotics and
Robotics is not part of definitely robotics need the help of the AI, machine learning, or such a data mining. So probably you heard about AI, machine learning, and data mining. What are different? What is the difference? AI is dealing what?
Using intelligence.
So we try to make the intelligent system, okay?
To learn.
For computer. Computer actually is not intelligent.
No.
There's no intelligence.
so stupid.
Yeah, so stupid. Because it follows the order of the user, it's computer. So let's just follow. There's no way to decide something or even they don't know whether this is good or bad. Okay? So AI tried to address such a problem for computer. Okay? Then this is the kind of diagram. Machine learning will focus on the algorithm part. Okay? How to run such a computer. Okay? In other words, can we make the algorithm that can run the computer? Okay? Then data mining will focus on specifically data part, database. We will utilize the information in the database or file system, then apply AI or machine learning algorithms. So, as a computer science, especially for those who are interested in the database, definitely interested in the data mining part. So, what is the data mining? What is the mining? Mining is looking out some valuable thing, mining of gold, mining of something oil, or mining something valuable thing. So actually data mining doesn't make sense. Mining the data. Okay? But I don't know why it's called a data mine. Nowadays data mining is a general word. Okay? So we are digging the data to get what?
Useful
Valuable.
information.
Useful or hidden information. In the data, when you see bunch of data, sometimes you realize this guy is so good and this guy will fail because based on my experience, so those who get the C and or D will fail this course, the big data course. So then we'll determine, can we apply such a thing in the computer? That is data mining. Also, when you take a look at the people or the data, so you can classify these guys usually will pass this course because they are handsome. These guys are not, will fail because terrible or something, whatever. Okay? So, based on the data, when you get something valuable, usually hidden information. Hidden is important. If we so explicitly, you can see the data, for example, in the database design, the schema employed. When you say fail, pass, if you have such, it's not hidden information. It's not mining the data. It's already there. However, if you do not have such a information, but you have the last 90 and 8, 60, and English and 120. Using this information, if you decide whether this guy is a pass or fail, this is the data mining technique. Because it's not in here. Okay, that's the difference. However, machine learning is not only for such information or data, it's general computer. Okay? And AI is not only for information, it's a general algorithm. Okay? So we are going to focus on machine learning and data mining nowadays is quite close. Okay? Because data mining is bigger and cover most of the machine learning techniques. Okay? So that's the reason data mining and the machine learning are unique because they use together. But AI is different. Okay? Why is data mining or machine learning techniques are important nowadays? Netflix, Amazon, Walmart, and the banks, Google, Yahoo. Why? It's why Lisa, such a name of company. They use
to recommendation systems.
They use machine learning, data mining, whether or not you realize they use a lot such as data mining and machine learning in their business. For example, Amazon. So how many of you use the Amazon to purchase items? Probably next time, once you purchase the computer, okay, laptop from Amazon, every time, whenever you log in the Amazon, there will pop up
That's
hard disk drive or the laptop or some other similar thing.
Yes.
Okay? Sometimes it's useless, but sometimes that's what I want. Okay, then you can click, then who knows? Purchase. Okay, that's the marketing strategy nowadays. It's not only for nowadays, only for the Amazon. What about the Walmart? Walmart is one of the first company who applied the data mining technique. For example, I'm not sure whether you realize if you go to Walmart, closest Walmart is like Stratford.
by the cashier on
You can see the next to the diaper baby section. There it is here, diaper section. Why?
bill.
Here.
Yeah.
Next to the
Diaper. Yeah, next to the baby shop. Why?
the clothing.
To get rid of
Who
the-
purchased the diaper or baby stuff?
Parents.
Very young parents, right? They are the main consumer of alcohol. Like the beer, they need the bottle, at least a couple of bottles of beer. So if we put the baby stuff and next to the baby stuff, the beer, they can easily pick up both of them. They definitely need the baby stuff, baby diaper. Okay, there's no choice because of baby. Then once they visit to the baby section, if you see the beer, even though you do not have the plan to purchase the beer, they can pick it up. So that's the idea. So they realize, how can they realize?
That
So they have the data, bunch of the history, transaction history, who purchased the receipt, whenever you got the receipt, they store in their system. The customer A purchased this. They realize that once a customer purchased the baby diaper, they purchase the beer 30%. 30% is very high. So if they separate all the other end, not a good strategy. So that's the idea of using the data mining and machine learning of the world. And Netflix. What about the Netflix?
Also, in Walmart, they use the motion sensors. Sometimes, like when you move from place to place, into inside the Walmart shop itself, so they can realize how he moves. Then they
Yes, that's based on the sensor, or sometimes you can use the multimedia processing, image processing or video processing to find the moving pattern.
Yeah.
Okay? For example, the people would like to usually go around like a circular pattern, not zigzag. So you'd better put the island along the such a main pattern, which is popular, something like that. Yes, that's another way. Also, what about Netflix? I'm not a fan of the Netflix. Instead, I like the get island using the torrent.
Yeah.
But if you use the Netflix, nowadays, if you watch one of the movie, they will suggest this is the next one. So even Netflix would like to increase the accuracy of such a recommendation. Idea is simple. If you like the, for example, Frozen, you may like the Lion King because it's a Disney movie animation. And also, if you like the Transformer, okay, you probably like the Spider-Man, something like that. It's major. What about the computer? Computer can realize such a thing because Netflix probably has 10 millions of users. You cannot recommend it manually. So at that time, Netflix would like to implement the recommendation system based on the customer user. So if his pattern is similar as him, so if he purchases the Frozen, recommend Frozen. Okay, that's one way. It's based on user. Also, if you realize that those who purchase the Frozen will purchase the Lion King. So he purchased the Frozen. Then suggest the lion based on the similarity of the lion. Okay? There are several strategies. So they try to increase such a recommendation system. Can you guess what is the accuracy of the Netflix recommendation system?
90%.
Almost 90%, around 90%. However, they try to increase the such a accuracy of the recommendation system. Several years ago, actually, Netflix opened the competition. They even provide the public data, their transaction data, and $1 million award. If you can make the algorithm that can beat the current Netflix, the recommendation system, they will give the
By 10%.
1 million.
If you increase it by 10%,
Yes.
we will do it.
Millions.
Did somebody,
Several years.
somebody did it?
I don't.
I,
You did?
no, I don't.
So that is the level. So you will test it in the exercise of such a recommendation system using header. Okay?
Yeah.
So all of these are based on the data mining, the machine learning. Why is it important in big data system? Why?
Because you have a big data.
Yes. If you have, for example, the Netflix transaction, if you have just the 10,000 data, probably it's not reliable.
Yeah.
You cannot get enough accuracy to recommend the system. But however, if you have the 10 millions of the transaction, yes, it's a good chance. The problem is, it takes a longer time to process 10 million. Okay? It's not linear, it's exponential. So using traditional system, you cannot process this one, but since you have the big data system, Hadoop-based system, you can process this. So nowadays, because of the big data system, Hadoop-based big data system, is the data mining and machine learning has been focused on a lot. So this is called data analytics. So data analytics is very, very important nowadays. Almost all the business guys, they are thinking about how to analyze their data. Okay? It's a big boom. That is the reason it's a huge boom. It's like the dot-com boom in around the 2000. So it's a big data boom nowadays. So if you go to the dice.com, careerbuilder.com, many companies are looking for the person who knows the big data system. That means not only for the ML programming, but eventually they try to analyze the data using the data mining and machine learning. Even the CEO, even though they are not CEO and some executive guys, even though they are not in computer science, they know what is the data mining and the machine learning. Okay? Also, if you, in terms of the salary, this is much, much higher. Okay? So, if you know both of them, definitely there's a good chance to get a better job. So, this is very, very important nowadays. So, today, I'm going to quickly overview of the what is the machine learning, what data mining, then introduce the know-how, the system, the package in Hadoop. So first, you should. So sometimes we can say we try to rely on or believe a guy who has the experience, right? To design something. Maybe tomorrow it will be the raining. So why don't we cancel or the postpone the event? Then how do you know? Because it's based on the experience. But it looks like the fine, but experience guy said the still little humidity and the blow wind from the northwest is usually the rainy during the summer season. So they have the guy may have the experience and based on the history, data, and also decision rule. Okay. Same idea in the computer. So if we can make the algorithm for this kind of thing, So using the historical weather data, then we are going to process what is the decision factor. For example, if humidity is bigger than 70%,
So high.
at the same time, the wind blows from northwest 10 miles per hour. In the season of June and August, it will be rain, or 70% rain, chance of the rain tomorrow. Okay? Can we make such an algorithm? That is the data mining. That is the machine learning. So, however, if you have just a traditional database, unless you do not define such a data, whether rain or you cannot decide. So that is the huge benefit of the data mining. Okay, we can classify the data mining test two parts. One is the prediction, and another one is the description. Simply, so far we have focused on the description test, descriptive test, which means in statistics we have the history of the transaction for pizza. Too many data. So at the time, I'd like to know this data. For example, 30% of the people purchase the mozzarella pizza, cheese pizza, and the 20% combination pizza, the other 50% is for the clam pizza. Okay, so this kind of the data mining technique is called descriptive. There exists the data, but because the data are too big, they didn't know. But nowadays, using the statistical tool, we can describe such a 10 millions of transaction data. We can describe using statistical tool. 30%, 20%, and 50%, something like that. This is a descriptive, the task description method and descriptive data mining task. We have focused on such a thing. However, nowadays everybody can do that. If you can use the Slack, if you can use the Excel, if you can use the very basic statistical tool, so this is a description test. However, for example, 30% of the group suggests the pizza, and then plus the Coke, they will purchase the next time the clam pizza. Okay? This kind of the group is not described in here. Okay, you need to you need to imply infer such a group. Okay? So you need to predict. In other words, for example, 10%, the wind blow northwest as well as 70% humidity, maybe the rain tomorrow. You predict future, which is not in your data set. That is the prediction method. Which one will be more valuable? Which one will be more difficult? Definitely prediction. So nowadays we are going to focus on such a prediction because we can handle many huge amount of the data. Okay? So, for example, the flu. We already saw the flu trend in Google. By analyzing the frequency of the searching keyword, we can predict even the flu. When will be the flu season? So if the frequency of the flu word is increasing, so maybe next week will be the flu season, something like that. It's a prediction. Okay, so this is more valuable to find unknown future. So we can classify the data mining task in terms of algorithm, this thing, but mostly three types. So we try to analyze the frequency of the data. For example, those who possess cheese pizza and Coke will possess the clam pizza. 30% of them will possess this one. You analyze the frequency, okay, chance. Then predict the pattern of such a purchasing the pizza. So similar thing in the recommendation system in Netflix or the Amazon. So you can analyze such a frequency. So it's based on the frequency. In other words, it's called the association rule. It's a rule, kind of. 30% of the who possess the cheese pizza plus Coke will possess the clam pizza. Something like that. So it's kind of a rule. So frequency analysis or association rule is to analyze the data based on the frequency and you can predict. So this is the first part. There are many algorithms to implement this. Then next one is the classification. Classification is, as name implies, classify. So make the group. Okay? Based on what? Based on the history. Based on training data. Which means, so I know his math and English score. I know his math and English score. Her math and English score. Okay? And whether he passed the big data course. Whether he passed the big data course. Whether she passed the big data course. Using these three student information, he got the, for example, A, B, C, math and English, and whether pass or fail. So, I know the whether A, B, C pass or fail, and also math or English score. So I have the rule. So, which means if math and English is greater than 80, then pass. Otherwise, else fail. Okay, straight. Okay, key experience. Then, if there's a new student, fail, right? And pass. How can you decide? Using trained data, using experience. You can classify the class, fail or pass. This is called classification. You try to make the group based on what? Trained data. So it requires training. In other words, this kind of classification called supervised learning. In terms of machine learning, machine learning said it's the supervised learning. One, you know the answer of the training data. So supervise, have to train the data, then decide the class. This is classification. On the other hand, clustering is they do not provide training data. Instead, this is the X and Y coordinate point. Okay? How many groups?
Two.
Everybody said this is a two group.
Could be.
Did I provide any training? So this one is an A, this one is a B, no. But based on the distance, so you can group two. Class A, class B. Pass or fail, something like that. This is math score, this is English score. Without training, we can group into two.
One supervisor.
This is called
One supervisor.
clustering algorithm. We can cluster, make them group. Both clustering and classification would like to make the groups. The different thing is classification utilize training information, training data. Why clustering doesn't have the training data? Instead, using data as it is. Okay? Because of that, this is called unsupervised learning in terms of machine learning. In machine learning, it says supervised and unsupervised. Why? We didn't have. There's no ground truth data, okay, training data. But we can group. This is the unsupervised learning. So there are three main groups in data mining. One is association group, frequency analysis. Second is classification. This is making the group based on training information. Third one is clustering. Without training, we try to make them groups. Okay? Which one is more difficult? Generally, clustering is more difficult than the classification. So nowadays, many of the recommendation systems, they are based on the classification. In other words, they train the test data that apply to the field. Okay? Clustering so far, but it's more attractive, right? Without training data, we try to make them good. So, for example, this is news, the class. There's no. But if I can guess whether this student will fail this course, I can focus on one. Right? Give them more homework and spend more time. Right? If we do not have such a trained historical data. Okay? That is a cluster.
Is K-mean an example of clustering? K-mean and clustering?
K-mean is the clustering. So we will see briefly about that. This is an example of what I introduced, some baby stuff, and here it's a very well example in the association. Okay? So this is transaction, your receipt. So we have the 5 receipt. When we check the receipt, bread, Coke, milk. Beer, bread, beer, Coke, diaper, milk. Beer, bread, diaper. Not always beer and diaper are together, but high chance. Right? So those who purchase the beer will purchase the diaper. Okay? Beer, not here, but for the diaper, or vice versa. Those who purchase the diaper will purchase the beer 100%.
Yeah.
So that is the rule. So we can use such a rule for the market. Priority is one of the algorithms to implement such a frequency analysis. Okay? In data mining class, definitely we will learn about such an algorithm details. Cluster, we try to make a group. Idea of clustering is first inter-cluster, intra-cluster inside the island, closer as close as possible, and intra-cluster island as far as possible. That is the ideal. Okay. So such a clustering can be used for image processing or video processing and many applications. However, depending on one of the main problem of such a clustering is, for example, how many clusters? Usually 2, but somebody say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 still. We don't know what is the optimum. It may be true. 6 is better than 2. We don't know. So that's a little bit ambiguity is the clustering problem. There are different approaches of the clustering. like a partitional clustering, hierarchical clustering. Okay, so we can start from maybe the 2 group, then 3 group, 4 group, something like that, hierarchical approach. So top to bottom or bottom to up. So we make as many partition as possible group. Then if they are close, the merge together. Also, K-means is one of the well-known clustering algorithm. K-means means K, number of K, cluster, how many group, okay? And means we are going to use average, mean value of to optimize the cluster. So we are going to check the distance. So simply, I'd like to cluster this group. So first, 2 means, for example, K is equal to 2 group. So randomly select the 2 item, 2 person, then compute the distance. Okay? Then optimize the average of distance in the group is as less as possible. Okay? That is a K-means algorithm. K-means is very simple and very powerful. So there are many variations of the K-means algorithm. K-means is used for even the function products. It can be used for, so nowadays visualization is very important with the big data system. This is one of the visualization of the data and X and Y, the plane. Then we can easily see that there are 3 groups. Then apply the K-means to find the cluster and the central. And map reducer can implement. You can implement the K-means using the map reducer. EM is the similar as the K-mean, but it is based on the expectation value. You know the expectation? I will give the, we are going to toast the point, the face and tail. In case of face, I will give 10 bucks. Tail, 5 bucks. What is the expectation value? Times half and
7.5.
So 7.5 the expectation value. So that is expectation. Expectation, and we try to maximize such expectation value. So in statistics, so this EM procedure is from the statistics. We can apply this EM procedure for clustering.
Like if you want to start a business and you have 2 options, you have, like if you want
Not 2 options, expectation then maximization. So it is based on the log likelihood, so conditional probability. Theta is the attribute, set of attribute, and X is the parameter. In terms of the statistics, for the parameter is the attribute value, and the sample, X is the sample. Then we try to maximize the expectation value for every the X. For that, we can apply, we can use the log likelihood. That will be discussed in detail in data mining. Then we can apply the EM procedure for clustering. Okay. Here let me discuss about the machine learning and data mining. So in the header foundation, they define the 3 machine learning. One is collaborative filtering, that is the frequency analysis, or the association is the same. Then clustering and classification. They implement the algorithm in machine learning data mining using what? Map reduce program. Not all of them. not all data mining techniques are available in MapReduce. Why? MapReduce allow commutative and associative. Okay, algorithm. So collaborative filtering is based on the frequency analysis. So for recommendation that I explained. And clustering is a grouping without training data and classification with the training data. So now is the machine learning library. Somebody already implemented. Okay? Such a machine learning algorithm using the MR program. So you can just make your data set into the Maha library. Okay? What kind of the algorithm I implemented? For the recommendation is implemented. For the clustering, including k-means and several other variables. And for the classification, these are implemented. So definitely you use if you are PhD student or the thesis option for your master, you probably use the support recognition, navigation, and base, and the k-means. These are very popular. Especially non-based and Bayesian approach is based on what? Conditional probability. Conditional probability means what is the probability of this flip it's a half and half. But sometimes after when you have so what is the probability to pick up the black? It's a 1 over 2 over 3. Okay? Something like that. But in case you pick up 4 of them, what is the probability of the black? Something like that. It's a conditional probability. Okay? Based on 1. So this is the navigation. How can you apply such a conditional probability for recommendation system? Those who possess the diaper, how many of them will possess the year? Not just the probability of the possessing year. Those who base will be changed. Okay, denominator will be changed. That is the navigation and the beta, conditional probability. Use a lot. So in your during the exercise lab, you will learn.
No,
you already did?
Yes.
Oh. So this is Apache Maha for the recommendation system. I think that since you already did, okay. Also, such a Maha, including Maha, the machine learning in the header is been even right now there are more and more algorithms included in the Maha. So, however, because it's the standard, this library doesn't fit to your purpose sometimes. At the time, it's not a big deal to implement such a machine learning or the data mining algorithm using the Hadoop. So, of course, you already know how to implement the machine learning and the MR programming. You can directly implement them. If you believe this is better, then you can say probably. I think that's it for today's lecture. So once again, the next week, Tuesday, you will have the demonstration. For your demonstration, you can, for the submission, not all member, you don't have to submit all the members. Only one of the members submit, then I can put your grade for entire team. So you don't have to submit all the team members. So next Tuesday is the due date for your project. Also for your demonstration, it's a good idea to prepare the 6 to 7 slide for your presentation that include the motivation and purpose and how to implement and some screenshot output of your then the demonstrate. So if you cannot demonstrate using the projector, you can demonstrate in front of the computer, then I can see your demonstration. Okay? Any question?
It's gonna be here or?
Okay.
Hello?
Okay. Okay, so this so 1 minute, so spend more time to complete on time, then we
Next Thursday is going to be last.